Monday, August 30th, the last Monday of August, Dave, and it feels like we only did like one podcast this entire month. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well. It's been a busy time, my friend. It's been a busy time, but a good time. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. Got a little bit of rest after a fairly emotionally damaging weekend, but I'm back at it, and even more supercharged and even more back at it as a result of a heck of a guest you got for us tonight.
Yeah. Excited to have the one, the only New Mexico United midfielder. Well, he's not the only New Mexico United midfielder, but he is the one, the only Saalih Muhammad. Thrilled to have him on. We're going to have him on, bring him in the next segment here. But excited to have him back. Obviously, we re-signed him, just about a week ago, Lucas? A little over a week ago, maybe? And just absolutely thrilled to have him back. Great midfielder, more importantly, better human.
Yep.
We've missed the heck out of him when he went over to Oakland, and we'll talk a little bit about that, coming back home, all that kind of fun stuff when we've got him on here in just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I was going to give him a hard time. You know, he actually came out and visited with his former team, Oakland Roots. He was actually present at the lab for Meow Wolf Night. I don't want to give him a hard time and just say, is that all it took? Was just a reminder of what Meow Wolf Night is like, and then he's back, and we couldn't be happier. We'll take this opportunity to say hi to a couple of our good friends that are watching tonight. Cassandra, always great to have you here. Adrian, thanks for being here. Josh, I don't quite get the AFC Richmond reference, but hey, I'm all about it. If United Sessions brings you as much joy as AFC Richmond brings the world, we're happy to be a part of that. Dave, before we get to Mr. Muhammad, we have some house cleaning. Do you want to get us started?
Yeah, absolutely. If you could give us a rating, subscription, like, all those kind of fun things, helps us get to more people. Super helpful for us. If you're a first-time listener, we'll let you know. And if you're a long-time listener, I'm sure you already know that we're about community first, talking about community first. We like to talk about soccer too sometimes, but the focus is on New Mexico, is on community, is on all of these kinds of things, because that's what New Mexico United is about. It's about those things. So when you like, when you rate, when you subscribe, all those things, it helps us get to more people, helps us kind of get up the charts as far as the podcasting scene goes, and helps more people to hear us and get that word of community and excitement about what New Mexico is out and about into the world. And that's our goal.
Absolutely. Could not have said it any better than that. If you're interested in partnering with the show, like our good friends over at Cinnamon Cafe, you could just send an email over to info@newmexicoutd.com, and Rob, who some of you guys know from Snapchat, will be sure to get that message over to us. If you support community, if you support amazing stories, not just stories of awesome guys like Saalih, but stories of chefs and musicians and groundbreakers and trailblazers, like all of these individuals. If you support that, then you would make a great partner, and we would love to have a conversation with you. There is so much going down. Producer Dylan is out of control with the scrolling bar and the comments. I'm getting so distracted. So before I really garble something up, why don't we jump into the break and then come back with Saalih?
Well, you mentioned partners. You know, Cinnamon Cafe is a wonderful partner, and they do the third segment, which we'll get to obviously after the second segment, because that's how numbers work.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a new partner here coming on pretty soon. We're in the works right now. That's all we can tell you about it. We're excited to have a new partner on the pod, and there's room for more. So hop on the bandwagon before it costs you millions of dollars to do so. And we're the biggest podcast in the world. It's coming, folks. It's coming.
It's only a matter of years. This year, first year, we said let's aim for number 2 super New Mexico specific niche podcast, and I think we're close to hitting that mark. But we set a big stretch goal for year 2, which is the biggest podcast in the world. So we've got a lot of work to do in between year 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're almost there. I mean, my mom watches, so I mean, she doesn't watch any live stream podcasts. I mean, that's 2 right there. Come on. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction. All right, let's go to a break though. Let's go to that first break. We're going to come back on the other side of this break, talk to our good friend, New Mexico United midfielder, Mr. Saalih Muhammad.
In New Mexico, we know true love, true beauty, true adventure, true color, and true culture. Because we are truly hot, truly unique, truly rich, and truly home to the greatest stories and heroes, caverns and mountains, music and dancing, sunrises and sunsets. Home to the artists, the warriors, and the multi-generational, multiracial, all-inclusive family that we call the United. It's true, the black and yellow, this shield, these people, these scenes. This is New Mexico United, and New Mexico United is New Mexico True.
We are back on United Sessions. David Carl is with me. I'm Lucas Cash, and we're joined by our good friend, an old friend, Saalih Muhammad, back in the 505 once again, reunited, and it feels so good. I think Adrian, our great listener, probably asked the best first question, if you want to bring that back up, Dylan, but I think he kind of hit the nail on the head. How did it feel coming back to New Mexico this time around, and do you have the same excitement now as year one?
That's a good question. I think it feels the excitement is still the same. The emotions definitely feel a bit different because I think in that first year it was really unexpected, and I got to see the growth of the club, and I didn't. It's hard to say. Like, I didn't anticipate what is going on now and what the future will look like. I got to be totally honest, and so everything in that first year, especially with the U.S. Open Cup run, and this is just such a special year. And I think there's still that same excitement, but I think even more so now, it's I feel like I'm on a mission to just try to get us into playoff position. And I think the excitement for sure is still the same, but the expectations and I don't know what the experience feels like is a little bit different as well.
So you got back into town, like a week ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We, what did we leave? I think we left on a Monday, got here we left on a Tuesday. Wednesday, got here on a Friday, on a Thursday night, and then trained Friday, and just been in the mix now and just kind of getting back into the groove of everything. Been with Ellie and her family as well, which has been really nice. They've helped me settle in a lot. And I don't know, it was weird. Like, I already felt when Oakland came to play United, I already felt like I was home. So I feel like I still had some lingering nostalgia from that trip. So it's pretty interesting now to actually be back. It still feels a little surreal, to be honest.
And you're, so you're driving back. You come in from California, obviously. I'm assuming you cut through Arizona. When you cross the state line into New Mexico, how are you feeling?
Oh, man. I was a little tired because that was the last stretch of the trip. I'm like, but I was visualizing home at that point. I was like, okay, I was visualizing what it's going to look like when we get home and we get settled. And, Ellie, of course, she's from Albuquerque. And so, she's a Pequeña through and through. And so both of our excitement, we're just like, we're home. Like, and I don't know, we've always identified it like that. And, that it's a beautiful trip as well, too. Like, not to, throw any shade on California, but that drive through Bakersfield is absolutely terrible. It was all cow, all just farmland, and just cow manure smells blasting through your AC. And then you hit Arizona and New Mexico, and it's all mountainous and beautiful sunsets. I took 4 or 5 pictures along the way from Arizona and New Mexico. So it was really nice. I actually really enjoy road trips. It's better when you can, definitely take your time. But even still, with wanting to get back as quick as we could, it was still such a beautiful drive. I had my music, had my podcast going, and I was feeling good, and I was coming home.
So Lee, you probably heard the opening segment where you hear that we have aspirations to become the world's biggest podcast.
Yes.
The world includes Bakersfield. So if you could please refrain from offending any of our future followers. That's actually one of our target. It's actually one of our target areas, and now we have this controversy to deal with. So to all of our friends in Bakersfield, you live in God's country. That's beautiful land. Okay.
He said not to
There
throw
you
any
go.
shade at California, but let me throw some shade at California.
Not to throw shade, but this is ugly, ugly, ugly land.
Nah, hopefully they don't come attacking you on social media in Bakersfield. You know how some of these, California, it's some rough people out there.
Especially Bakersfield. That's what they always say.
Especially Bakersfield.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. Saalih, you said you trained on Friday. How's your wind, man? Did you lose your elevation training?
Yes, so Friday was a lot easier. Today was the first day of a real push. I thought I was gonna throw up for a second.
I feel like that just walking around.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I forgot how intense the altitude is here and how much it affects you. So it was I don't know. Today was one of the tougher days. I don't remember feeling this much of the altitude when I was here last time. But yeah, it was really intense. I'm not gonna lie. Halfway through the session, I was like, okay, just lock in mentally, try to get through it, take deep breaths.
But you mentioned that training, right? And obviously the first time around, you're here at the beginning of the season. You're coming in at the same time as everybody else. With all the same guys. But this time you're coming in a little over halfway through. What's different about that? I mean, is there something different as far as establishing yourself as a member of the team? Obviously, you played with a lot of these guys before. What changes when you come in part of the way through?
Sorry, my dog.
That's okay. Far from the first dog to bark during our podcast.
But I think this time around, it's hold on.
Welcome to the podcast, Ellie, wrangling the dog.
Ellie, and the dog Zuko. Yeah, but I think this time around, I feel like I'm still definitely getting my footing within the team, because there are new people, and they've also you accumulate kind of these emotional experiences, whether scarring in some way throughout the season when you win, when you lose, and the team definitely feels that. And every team, whether coming into that midway point in the season, you've kind of missed a lot of defining moments of that season. Right. And so right now I'm just trying to come in and practice, train really hard. And of course, since I know a lot of the guys, it hasn't been a hard transition at all. It still feels really warm and I'm hanging out after practice, but definitely trying to get a understanding of, where everyone's head is at, how everyone's feeling, so that I can best serve the team. And, trying to figure out how I can do that, emotionally and spiritually with the team. And because it's very different from, like you said, you're coming in the beginning of the season and, you've been through everything with the team, all the pre-game speeches, the post-match speeches, the training sessions, you name it. And so just kind of getting a grasp of that, filling it out, and just being patient, honestly, trying to be patient and, be the best that I can be the best version of myself with the team. And hopefully, over time it rubs off. And I think there are a lot of, when the energy in the team is good, results and everything come as well. And so, yeah, even if it's just making people smile, checking in on someone, whatever that is, and just trying to figure out how to best do that.
So, Lee, what are some of the best books you've read over the last couple of months?
Man, right now, I've been reading this one, River Out of Eden. Ellie gave it to me. It's just a story of human evolution, and how, evolution is a gradual process. And, you look at any animal and whatever, evolution happens over time. It's gradual steps. And so it's kind of funny because it definitely draws parallels to our lives. Sometimes it feels like, life is moving quick, but it's a slow process, anything you're trying to build. And it's constant, small tweaks. And then, maybe there's a big moment here or there, but it's definitely a lot of small tweaks and improvements that you make in order to best, improve yourself. I reread Flow, which is a book on, just finding flow in everything you do, and trying to find that, that white space where, you're totally present, and trying to make, and the book is just basically talking about how to make that, a more continuous aspect in your life, something that is frequent, and it becomes habitual. And then I haven't been reading as much as I've been working on math, like, because, Ellie, she's the mathematician between me and her. And, so she's really been my inspiration behind, I'm like, man, I need to study more, and study more of the sciences more, and, and whatnot. So right now, just really been trying to spend as much time as I can, doing that, even if it's just the basic fundamentals. So that's pretty much what's been filling my space up, because both of those books are a little heavy, and they give me time. I need time to kind of dissect, and then come back to it as well. So
I think Saalih, a lot of people, as they get out of school, as they grow up, they kind of eschew that stuff, whether it be the math or the reading or any of this stuff. You've always seemed like a very cerebral guy to me. It seems like you value being a lifelong learner. Where does that come from?
My dad, honestly, he was always adamant that I was reading, and that I was always, self-reflecting. And then I think some of it came from traveling as well, and having to do a lot of things on my own, because I left to Croatia when I was 16, and I've been, traveling on my own ever since. And so that process, I feel like, really helped me be comfortable, one, being alone, and then also being comfortable with my thought pattern, and becoming more aware of it, because there were just a lot of times when I didn't have the luxury of just making a whole bunch of like mistakes and stuff, because I was alone, so the margin of error was like very small. And so I had to be aware of my surroundings at all times. I had to be attentive. I had to be engaged. I couldn't be too distracted, and so I think that was something that really helped a lot. And it's weird, because I also think when you're searching for something, it finds you. And I also think sports kind of helps you find that, try to discover that flow, and try to discover the best version of yourself that is competitive, that you can come out and train in and be competitive, while also managing being a good person with the people you're working with to produce the best results. And hopefully that carries over into just life in general. I think so. Those have been like a lot of I feel like the deeper influences on just who I am, and I'm still discovering. I'm always going to be transforming and coming up with new things, and learning more about myself and trying to grow. So.
Well, a couple great comments over here. Again, this is the easiest podcast ever because our amazing listeners and friends do most of the work for us. So Robert Romero, a legendary friend of David and Lucas. I don't know what that acronym is, but Dylan, you can come up with something. Wants to know what type of music you are listening to right now. And then our dear friend Chanel Weesey said, when you get back and get settled in, it would be great for you to come and talk to some kids about the power of learning and reading and all these different things you're saying. Because, again, the more these messages can get reinforced, especially in times that seem somewhat down and somewhat dismal and somewhat negative, like, there's so much power. I personally am feeling so emboldened, like, just listening to you right now. Like, man, how many times over the last couple of months have I just wasted time complaining about something when I could have just been becoming a better version of myself? So let's hear about the music, and then let's get a verbal contract with you and Chanel that you're going to go talk to some kids.
All right. The music, I've been J. Cole a lot. I've been actually listening to Jay-Z, the Reasonable Doubt album.
That is one of my favorite albums of all time.
It's amazing.
Oh my God. Jay-Z is my favorite rapper ever. I'm sorry to interrupt. Jay-Z's my favorite rapper of all time, and Reasonable Doubt might be one of my favorite albums ever.
It's amazing. Like, good. I feel like, because also what I was going through, I was in that place of sometimes music hits you when you need it, and it speaks to you in a way that it just resonates with you, and it makes it all that much more special. And it's funny because when he made that album, he was mid-20s, I think, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna just release my thoughts and opinions out to the world, and let's ride, let's see what happens, And so I feel like a lot of those same thought patterns and struggles that a young 20-year-old is going through. You're trying to figure out, you're not a kid. You're trying to make plans 5-10 years down the road, and you're trying to make as wise of a decision as possible, and balancing trying to stay healthy, and there's so much. And so I think that's the album that's really hit me. And J. Cole, of course, that his album, Just the Fire, that he brought, I think it was incredible. And in the mornings it's jazz sometimes, some John Coltrane, Miles Davis, more so John Coltrane though. I just like the smoothness of his music, and it helps put me in a relaxed space. And that's pretty much a lot of it right now. I feel like I'm really trying as much as I can to listen to music that I can take something from, because it's music is powerful. It's like it's funny because you can listen to a song like on the radio. It could play, 30, 40 times, and you never really listen or pay attention to it, but you memorize it. So it implants itself with somewhere in the deep accesses of your mind. And so I'm trying as much as I can to, whatever I'm listening to, I want it to, if it's going to lock into my mind, I want it to be of some use so that it can, better myself. And then, I would definitely I would love to talk to kids about that, about reading and learning, because, I think, it's the ultimate tool, like even if you're an athlete, you have to develop the ability to be a critical thinker. You have to, you have to be able to, function and reason and problem solve, and, all of those, like reading and math and learning it. I don't know. I feel like there's no greater joy than to push the limit of the mind. So.
Saalih, when you first got back into town, actually might have been even before you were in town, I'm not sure, but we did a kind of a digital press conference with some of the local media, just kind of reintroducing you and all that kind of stuff. And you spoke so glowingly about New Mexico as a state. I would love to get a little insight into what it is you love so much about this place. I mean, Lucas and I think could go on for days about why we love New Mexico, but I would love to hear it from you.
Yeah. No, I think after moving back, being in the Bay Area, there's always that, people talk about San Francisco, Oakland, the Bay Area, and, it is a beautiful place. But I think having lived here for 2 years and then being in the city, because I think Albuquerque is a very good mix of, you have the city, but you also have the outdoors. So it doesn't feel as condensed. And I don't know, the speed of city life made me appreciate the patience and I don't know, the calmness of the people here in Albuquerque, and just nothing ever, because there's no need to ever rush. You can't rush time. If you get there, you'll get there, And so I think that's something powerful to have in your life, because, you live out in somewhere like in New York or Dallas or wherever, and it always feels like there's traffic. There's super long lines at the grocery store, and there's a long line for this, a long line for that, or everything is very, very tightly packed. And then I think here, I just enjoy the space, and I enjoy that you can go places, and you can be alone with nature. And, you can sit and go on a hike in the foothills, walk 35, 40 minutes up into the foothills, and sit on a rock and look over the city, watch the sunset go down, and just think and feel. You can go to the hot springs and the Jimenez. You know, the cafes here are wonderful. The quality of coffee and the quality of the cafes designs and the feel in the cafes is amazing. The breweries, of course, are amazing. Like some of the best beer you will ever have. You know, and then you also have Santa Fe. You go up to Santa Fe, you want to spend the day there, you want to look at some art. You like, and it's an hour away. You know, it doesn't feel like a long drive. It's a nice little drive. You spend the day up there. And then the people. I mean, you know, I've met so many people, whether they, you know, we used to go to Einstein's on Central a lot the last 2 seasons when me and Ellie lived in Wilmore. And like everyone that worked there, it would be 6, 7 in the morning. I'm going to get bagels, and we would remember each other. We talk, catch up, we joke, we laugh. And like, you get that a lot of places here in Albuquerque where, you know, people just seem chill. People seem like they're, you know, down to just talk to you. They're down to just, you know, be friendly and warm. Like, I mean, again, when I first came here, I came on trial and I stayed with Dev's family. The most warm and welcoming people ever, you know, and they're all New Mexicans through and through. And so that says a lot about the people here. They opened their home to me. They made food for me. They took me in as I was a grandson. I was an uncle. I was a brother. And, you know, it's like hard because you don't get that a lot of places. It's not to say that other, like, people aren't warm in other places, because, you know, people are. There's a lot of kind and beautiful and welcoming people. But here, it really honestly just feels like everyone's like, hey, if you're here, you're New Mexican and you're one of us. And if you're a New Mexican and you identify as one of us, then you're a warrior like one of us. Like in the commercial for New Mexico True, it's like, it's real. Like, it's all inclusive. It's, you know, people are as funky as you want to be. You know, you can dress how you want and nobody really bats an eye. Like, you can be, like, you're never the weirdest person anywhere you go in Albuquerque.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
I mean, there's a couple people that could give a run.
There's a couple
for that
people,
title.
for sure.
There's a couple people. I'm thinking of a certain leathery man in his cutoff jean shorts that can probably give everyone a run for their money for the weirdest one in the room. But I'm deflecting right now because I'm a little bit embarrassed. I'm on the verge of tears, like listening to you talk about this stuff, because I have such a resonation with it. And then dang old Adrian has to drop in there that he's in the New Mexico version of Bakersfield, which is Roswell, which is the area of the state that I grew up in. And it's he's not wrong. Like, I always thought I lived in the ugliest state ever. I mean, they're great people. Again, it's just flat as can be. You entertain yourself on road trips by counting hawks. And when I came to New Mexico, I went, oh, the whole state's not ugly, just the part that I live in. So,
see, I haven't been to Roswell yet. I have to make a trip up there.
Oh, it's great. It's great. You're gonna love it so much. Just how they immerse themselves in the alien culture. Like, you're gonna get a kick out of it from a sociological perspective. The other thing I wanted to say was, just as it relates to what you said about, you know, this is how Dev's family took you in and how you were a grandson and an uncle, not a house guest. I had that similar feeling when I saw you down on the field after the Oakland match. You know, I'm not typically the most social person out in public settings, even when it's not underneath the confines of a pandemic. But I saw you and there was no question. It wasn't like, oh, this is just some old acquaintance that I'm trying to avoid in the grocery store. It was like, that's my family. My family is back, and there's not a question of whether or not I was going to go over there and see you. And so I think you see the comments over here. I don't know if you saw at the beginning or if you were trying to focus on your answers, but the first 5 minutes essentially of this live stream was welcome home, Saalih, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. And that's how they feel. And I'm doting now and rambling a bit, Dave. So if you've got some sort of prescient question formed so that I can jump off here, that'd be great.
Well, I wanted to kind of shift the subject a little bit, Saalih. You know, you've lived many lives, including Zagreb. That was a long time ago, and I would imagine almost a different world for you. How did that experience out there kind of shape who you are today?
Man, that's a good question.
And for those who don't know,
Yeah.
Saalih played for Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia, kind of toward the beginning of your career, right?
Yeah, I went out there at 16, and so I went from after my sophomore year of high school. I had the opportunity to go to Croatia after a camp, and they invited me out for a 2-week trial. And originally I was like, okay, like it's just Europe. Let's just go have a fun experience. See what happens. And man, and then 2 weeks turned into 3, and they decided, they wanted to keep me. Ended up staying there 2 years, and yeah, I don't like. I grew so much there. Um, I learned a new language, which was like, I mean, that in itself is a great experience because it's like we talked about before, having to, and because I didn't go to school to learn it, I learned it just listening to people, so I had to be totally engaged, and it taught me the accent in which people use when they're speaking, when they're saying certain things. It taught me better ways to communicate with people that were also nonverbal. Um, and I feel like I did so much on my own. Like there's one time we were supposed to go to France for a tournament, and then we get to the airport and my visa had expired, and they arrested me at the airport. And so I get arrested. I'm sitting at the airport. The rest of my team goes to France, and they go to Le Havre, which is like a small village out in France. And so they make it all the way out. I get arrested, and they're like, "Do you still want to go to the tournament?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so they give me a paper detailing the train I need to take and everything else. And after they got me out of prison, I had to go see a judge. Well, not prison, but the little airport police station. I had to go talk to a judge, and they sorted everything out. They sent me, they sent me to France with my papers, and with my passport and with a paper detailing, hey, this is what train station you need to go to, what train you need to take, where you need to get off, and so on and so forth. And I made the trip all the way from Zagreb to Le Havre, and I was like still 16 at the time. And I get off at the train station in Le Havre, and like that was the directions went up to that point. It was like once you get to Le Havre, like someone will come get you or whatever. No one came to get me. I was sitting there waiting for a while, and I ended up having to talk to this taxi driver, telling him what hotel I wanted to go to. He took me there, and I showed up, and my team was like, "What in the world?" And yeah, so like I had experiences like that where I'm out there and I'm never really telling my parents totally everything because I didn't want them to go
Told
crazy.
him now.
Yeah, exactly. So I so much that I feel like it just gave me so much confidence in myself and the ability to figure things out. Like the toughest, like what seems like the toughest thing in the world, all it takes is a little bit of persistence and some desire to say, I'm gonna figure it out. Like it is what it is, not the end of the world. If things don't go according to plan, that's okay. And it taught me resilience. So I think that was the biggest character trait that I developed there. It was like true resilience through like, man, like whatever the situation may be. And so I couldn't even play too. Like I was there for 2 years and I couldn't play official matches because I came a year late, and because the season before, any player from another country could just go over to Europe and play. But what ended up happening is FIFA changed the rule because there were some teams in France and other European countries who were taking players from Africa, South America at like 10 at a time. Agents would bring like teenage kids over, and they would go trial with European clubs. And the ones that made it, the clubs would take care of them, and the rest of them would just end up in Europe stuck and no way to get home.
Jeez.
Yeah, and there's actually a kid, a guy who came to trial at Dynamo, and that actually happened to him. He, was training with us one day for like a week. They decided not to keep him, and we had like a player house. He had to move out of the player house. He actually ended up stealing my cleats. But I ended up seeing him like a month or two later just on the bus, just doing whatever, because they would literally spend their whole their whatever money their family had, they would use to send them over. And so
that's horrible.
You couldn't get back, and you also probably didn't want to go back. You're like,
right.
Find a way to stay out here in Europe. And so it was tough. It was like I got introduced to, I think, also a more severe side of the football and business in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe. Just operates totally different there, way different from one that we experience here in the States. And so it also kind of shook away any naive ideas that I had about what soccer is like. It's it was a tough experience at times, but I really enjoyed it. Would I, as a parent, now send my kids to Europe at 16? It's tough. Like, I would say yes, but then again, it's like it's still a major risk still. You just never know who's taking care of them, what they're what could happen and whatever. But I don't know. I was 16 and I was even getting into grown adult clubs and stuff. At 16, 17 years old, and I was like, I could drink beer. I was going and. It was interesting though, because I never got crazy with it. I was just like, okay, this is a thing. And it doesn't have to be, all this hubbubaloo about, I'm drinking or hey, and I got to experience that. So I also think it was good because, I'm not now at 20 something like, I got to go to the club or, I got to go, I'm just like, yeah, I've been there, I've done it. It's cool.
I'm going to go do some math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just stay home, be with the family, chill, read, do my math, and try to build something.
Well, yeah, I mean, Robert has said here in the chat, Saalih's Odyssey here. That's it's kind of true, man. You lived kind of an Odyssey life, and you're still young.
The Saalih
or the Saalih.
Saalidiad.
Which reminds, if you have questions for Saalih, please feel free to put them in the chat. But you say if would you send your kid at 16 to Europe? And after hearing your story, my immediate reaction is hell no.
Yeah.
But not every kid is the same, right?
But so what if your kid turned out like Saalih? That's what I was thinking. That's the thing about it.
Right. But the thing is, you were able to handle that at 16 because of who you are, and I would imagine because of your lived experiences and all of those kinds of things. I would imagine that maybe some other 16-year-old kid would come there and flame out. Maybe he'd be there and he would maybe enjoy the nightclubs too much.
No, we definitely had that. Yeah, that was definitely the case. And some, even we had American guys over as well, and that it happens. It's tough. Yeah, like you're saying, it's tough, So it was we had, this kid, he was a top young American talent, youth national team and everything. And, I think he came out to Croatia. He's an extremely talented player. And I saw that.
For those of you who are listening in, Chanel said,
David Carl at 16. What a thought.
Oh, did he freeze?
He did freeze. He froze on us a little bit, buddy.
Maybe not.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Yeah, so Chanel said, for those who are listening in, David Carl at 16 would be a nightmare unattended. I would have been the most wasted 16-year-old you've ever seen.
So Lee, you would have been taking him home. You would have been acting like his older brother. Come on, Dave.
I would have needed somebody like Saalih to be my chaperone.
All right, so we could literally have you on for 2 hours. Like I'm thinking, and again, I don't want to get in the way of training or math or reading or anything like that, but my God, you would be an amazing regular, like, third host of this show. Like, just what you bring from a conversational perspective, your interests, your engaging, like, so obviously we're not going to get it all tonight. Hopefully we can get you a lot more in the future and maybe we'll put some focus to the conversation instead of just combining, three people who love just deep conversation and letting them ramble over the field however they would want to. For now, we're a little bit up against the break, and we definitely have to get to this game because I put easily 9 minutes of work into this game, Saalih, and so, like, that's like 9 times more than I normally do. So we're gonna get to that in the Cinnamon Cafe Wrap It Up section right on the other side of this break.
From day one, community has been at the heart of New Mexico United. This state, these people, this culture is in our DNA. United has always been more than a sports team, and victory has always been more than 3 points. With everything we do, we are dedicated to creating positive outcomes for every New Mexican. It's time for us to double down on that mission. Introducing the Somos Unidos Foundation, our commitment to the future in our state, to the future of our community, and to our belief that we are all united. Somos Unidos.
Right under the wire, both of you. That was very impressive. David ran some marathon during that 42-second break, and I don't know what you were doing, Saalih. I don't know if you kept us with you, but we were looking at the floor the whole time. So we are back. The third and final segment of United Sessions brought to you by Cinnamon Cafe. That's why we call it the Cinnamon Cafe Wrap It Up section. Reminder that if you have not gotten your burrito card, you are leaving free burritos on the table. David Carl is a man who harbors almost exclusively in burrito economics, and he will tell you not having a burrito punch card is one of the worst financial decisions you could make if you are going to be a burrito enthusiast. Dave, tell him.
Yeah, I can tell you right now. I mean, it's a direct 10% loss in value. I mean, so you buy 10 burritos and you get one free. So you're getting 11 for the cost of 10. I'm on my second card already. So it's a 10% loss. I mean, you have to be an idiot to not want a 10% gain in value.
What'd you say, Saalih?
This is Cinnamon Spice Cafe.
Yeah, the one right by the New Mexico United offices at 3500 Central Avenue Southeast. Great place to spend about an hour and a half. You go get breakfast with Cinnamon Cafe. You come over and hang out with the awesome retail staff over in the United store. You yell at David because he'll be like working on one of the 9 million things he's working on, and he'll be like super stressed out because you're bothering him. But it's something everyone should do. It really is the spice of life, and this is the Cinnamon Spice Cafe Wrap It Up section. Some sort of tie to be had there, Dave.
Saalih, do you have a favorite burrito? Sausage, bacon, red, green, Christmas?
Definitely a sausage. Golden Pride is, some people might like Twisters. Some people, Frontier and Golden Pride are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But, Golden Pride, man, I would come from those away trips, and we'd have the day off the next day, and I get that Golden Pride sausage burrito.
Yeah.
With the crispy hash.
Yep.
And you just sit there, maybe orange juice, and that's how you start your morning right,
Do you have a preference, red or green?
Green.
Ooh.
Even in the morning?
Even in the morning.
Producer Dylan, we can see him in the background, and he was very excited you said green. Lucas and I are both sausage red. Cinnamon Cafe's sausage red burrito. Oh, man, it's another level. It's so good.
Undefeated champion right there, Saalih. All right, so tonight's game, let me unpack it a little bit for you, okay?
Oh, hold on. I want to give a shout-out to JJ Hernandez. He says,
what's
hey,
up,
guys,
JJ?
I follow the team because of Amando Moreno. He's a Salvadoran player. Oh, we know Amando well. And is with the national team now preparing for the games against USA, Honduras, and Canada. We saw him. He got there today. We saw him walking in with his Rolling Stone shirt. JJ, welcome to the podcast, man. We love Armando Moreno just as much as you do. You're welcome to hang out with us.
Yeah, I think you'll dig being around us, especially after you see this amazing game that I've put together. So, Saalih, you were with us for the first 2 years, and then you went and you had some important duties that you had to take care of in Oakland, and no one slights you for that. But while you were gone, a couple new guys came in, okay? A couple of New Mexico ships in the night. Saalih going to California, them coming in here, and what I want to do is, because you are so studious and because you are so focused in the moment, I would like to imagine that one of the first things on your list is to get to know a little bit more about these guys. And I'm sure you have. This quiz is going to be no indicator of these new teammates of yours, but it is going to be fun in the sense that what we're going to play is, what would your new teammates who you haven't hung out a lot with have done if they hadn't been professional soccer players? So here's how it's going to work. This is only from individuals you've never been rostered with before, right? So no one from 19 and 20 is going to be a part of this quiz.
Okay,
this is only newbies. Only newbies, okay? And so what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say, which of your teammates would have been this if they weren't a professional soccer player?
Okay.
All you have to do is tell me who it is.
Okay.
Work? All right. They
Hey,
are
hold on. We've got stakes. All right. So, Saalih, if you win, I will buy you the Cinnamon Cafe breakfast burrito of your choice. If you lose, you're buying me a burrito.
Fair.
All right.
Fair.
Lucas,
I don't think that's going to get the New Mexico Gaming Board's attention, so I think that's a fair wage. That's an exchange of services more than it is a wager.
Lucas,
All
actually,
right.
so you can root for Saalih. If he wins, I'll buy you one too.
Yes.
There you go.
Come on, Saalih, we got this. I'm now going to cheat. That's all David knows. Which of your teammates, had they not been a professional soccer player, would have been a teacher? Keep in mind, this is only the new ones.
Harry Schwartz.
Oh, it's such a good guess, but it is not Harry Schwartz. It is a wonderful human being. Harry's a wonderful human being, too.
I know who.
Who?
Azira.
Yeah, I think that counts.
Well, that does not count. You got it wrong. What are you talking about? That does not count.
Oh, dang.
All right. You get half a point.
So,
All right.
Saalih, just so you know, there are 6 of these, right? You have to get 3 to win.
Oh, okay. We're good.
You got to get 3 to win. All right, this one. Not 1 point for Saalih. Get out of here, producer Dylan. 0 points. 0 points.
Let's call it 0.75.
Hold me accountable. Hold me accountable.
That's right. We got to hold each other accountable. All right.
Hold me accountable.
All right. So your second one, you can pick. There are 2 people who gave this profession as their answer.
Oh, okay. So
you get either one of them, and it counts. Either one.
If he gets both of them, does he get 2?
Sure. Yeah. If you get both, we'll give you 2
okay.
points. All right. So here you go. Lucas is trying to cheat. All right. So which 2 of your teammates said if they were not soccer players, they would be tennis players?
Now, this isn't cheating to say. This is a reminder, Saalih, that this is only new teammates. We all know that Devin Sandoval, your family man, is a notorious tennis lover. So I don't want you to accidentally fixate on that. It's new.
I mean, if you want to say Devin Sandoval, you go right ahead.
I think. Let me see. I can see Touche playing some tennis.
Oh,
Wrong.
you still got one guess. One guess.
Dang.
You didn't get that one. You didn't get a point off that one.
All right. Let me see. We got.
And you can guess in the chat too if you want to help. You want to help Saalih out. Ilya is
Whoa.
correct.
Yeah, he's Serbian.
Yeah.
They love tennis. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Novak Djokovic fan.
Yeah. They love tennis.
Yes, they do. All right, 1 point for Saalih.
Are you curious who the other one was, Saalih?
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, wait. It might give away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't give it away.
Okay, that's fair. All right, after.
All right. Got it. All right,
All right,
I'm up
one for
next.
All right, and like I said, guys, if you want to help out, Saalih, feel free to put them in chat, and Saalih can wait a few seconds because I think it'll take a few seconds for us to get it. But maybe you get some help from the audience there.
All right, this next new teammate of yours, Saalih, said that he would either be an American football kicker or an addiction rehab counselor.
Man, that spans the spectrum.
Right?
It makes me say, why not both? Shoot for the
That'd be
stars, or the moon, and then you land with the stars. However that saying goes that I get wrong every time.
So you would, all right. So after hearing that, you would assume that it's an American who has played before, because you wouldn't just say an NFL kicker without having some prior experience.
Or if you grew up in, say, the hotbed of
shut
American
up,
football,
Lucas.
where we were constantly surrounded by it. I don't
Stop
know.
that. Stop
I'm just
that.
saying.
You made me buy burritos.
That didn't even help me.
Good.
Let me see.
He's just saying.
I'm just saying, Dill. I'm just saying this guy's
Harry?
from Texas.
Harry Schwartz?
Incorrect.
No.
Dang, God.
You got to check the chat, man.
They had you.
Dang.
They had you.
You know what? I actually was going to say the cello, but then I was like, nah. Literally, that was the first person that popped into. You got to go with your intuition. Sheesh.
All right, and so you know what? We said it was cello there, so we can just tell you before the other one, the other tennis player was Alex Tambakis.
The Tambloktopus.
Yeah, makes sense.
Can you imagine him up in the net? He'd be impossible to lob it over.
No, I'm
Yeah,
terrified of his
makes sense.
serve, Dave. Can you imagine with that big old tall frame of his and those
Yep.
gangly arms? He's whip it in there.
He'd play serve volley
Yeah.
every time. That's how I
Yeah,
used to.
strong right arm.
All right, you ready? So you've got one so far. You need to get 2 of your next 3.
We got
All right.
3 left.
Come on.
3
Let's do
left.
this. All right, let's go. Let's go.
All right. Which of your new teammates, if he was not a soccer player, would have been a motivational public speaker or coach? Chat, help him out.
So, quick question. Each profession is one person, right?
Except for the tennis player, yeah.
Except for the tennis. Okay. So we got.
Get out of here, Lucas. Stop it.
Sergio.
Oh, my
Correct.
God, Lucas.
Correct. What? That was Dylan.
Lucas is cheating.
To be fair, I was
Lucinda.
actually thinking Sergio because he's like pretty positive.
He is. He's a very positive
He's
guy.
like super like he just comes in and he's smiling. I'm like, yeah, I was actually thinking Sergio. So
Sure you were. Sure you were.
much help though.
Dylan and I, you said that the fans could get in on this, right, man? Like you said, we have to show their comments. If we want them to have feedback, then we share the comments. And it just so happens these were the only 2.
Fair enough. All right. Lucas, I think you're up next.
I am up next.
You got to get one of the next 2, Saalih.
Okay.
I'm just going to say one of my personal favorite answers. If this teammate was not a professional soccer player, this teammate would be a chef.
Chad, help him out. And we're going to put right and wrong answers that are said in the chat, by the way.
Oh, so it's between 2 now. I got a professional cook.
A chef, yeah.
Dave, am I allowed to say in parentheses they said LOL I wish? So it's
Sure.
not necessarily someone that's a great chef. They're just
Okay. Oh,
I like how you said that. You asked me if you could say it as you were saying it. So at that point, what if I said no?
well, either way, I'm
Verbal
going to get
judo.
the next one right. So
Yeah, well, yeah, Lucas, you ruined this game, Lucas. You ruined it.
I feel like that's unfair.
all right. Since they were joking, 2 seems like pretty like a joker, but I don't know because Harry hasn't been around. 2 doesn't seem like much of a chef though. He's young, so usually they can't cook. I'm gonna go with Harry.
That is correct.
Yeah. Usually the young guys can't really cook, you know?
You're going to
Because
get a
they're too
good
busy.
chuckle out of Tushes, though, based off of what you said. Like, he's a joker. He likes tennis, everything like that. Saalih's already won the game. David is already on the hook for a couple of delicious burritos for me and my new friend back from California. So let's flip this one around. What would be the funniest answer to you? What would be the funniest answer to you? If Alex Touche was not a professional soccer player, he would be a what?
If he wasn't a professional soccer player,
Peter Crouch impersonator.
maybe a comedian.
That was
Dilly,
not
I'll
the
get you a
answer you
burrito
gave,
too,
but
buddy.
Touche would be a great comedian. He's
He'd be a
hilarious.
Comedian. He has a good face for it too.
Producer Dill gets no burritos. Then look at you, you poor abused producer.
Dilly,
I'll buy you.
Dilly,
I'll buy
I'll
you a
get you a
burrito.
burrito, buddy. Oh, no, Lucas is getting you a burrito. He said it.
Yeah, Dave's buying mine, so I have plenty of extra burrito scratch.
There you go. Just put a punch my card for all three of them. We're good.
Oh, there you go.
That's right. Dill, go ahead and show us what Touche said he'd be if he was not going to be a soccer player. Dylan, are you listening to me? I just said I was going to buy you a burrito.
Yeah. He probably will go into that when he's done playing.
He's got to put that Wharton degree to use, man. You don't go to Wharton and then
Not
be a comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
And for those who weren't listening, a real estate investor.
Yes. Sorry, I forget we're not a fully visual production.
Abercrombie model. I like it.
Not bad. Not bad. That's what Saalih would be as well.
He's out there with washboard abs.
But that's the question, Slee. If you were not a soccer player, what would you do?
Man, you know what? It's funny because I feel like I figured out I've began to figure out what I want to do. You know, if I end up deciding not to stay in soccer in my life, which I don't think I will, an agricultural engineer or manager. I want to grow food.
That's awesome.
I want to cultivate land, and I want to help feed people better quality food who otherwise can't access it or afford it. And I really want to start taking urban farming become a more common thing.
I love that.
And, you know, because, yeah, I think people deserve to eat good food and also feel the effects that, you know, that has on your mood, your sense of, you know, just everything. Like food plays such a crucial role in how we feel, how we perform in day-to-day tasks and whatnot. So, and also like, I just like being outdoors. I really enjoy being outdoors. I like being in the forest and growing stuff. And, you know, I think I've also been reading this book called Your Brain on Plants, and how like they're just the effects that different plants can have on your happiness and for sleep. Like bitter orange is one of them. Mood booster. There's so many options, and like just have that accessible. Because I was watching this YouTube video. I'm sorry, I won't go too long, but
Take your time.
there's this guy, his name's Ernest Gosch, and he's like this Swiss farmer. He moved from Switzerland, and he was working in the government job out in Switzerland, you know, working with agriculture and helping them cultivate that, and, you know, developing plans and whatnot. And then he decided, he's like, you know what, like I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna do some consulting. And he ended up in Brazil, and he has this what is it called again? It's I forgot the style of farming, but what the name was, it'll come to me. But so he moved to Brazil, got this land, and just cultivated the land over the course of some decades, and pioneered this, you know, new way of growing food without the use of chemicals that builds its resistance through biodiversity. And so he has all these mix of plants that, you know, they end up fixing and solving problems for each other. So, and the ecosystem thrives, so that you don't have to use the bug repellent or whatever. The soil is strong. The fruit that he grows, he's like, we produce fresh cacao and we make a drink out of it, and no added sugar, and we give it and we sell it to the local people. And so, you know, there's just like so much, and food is one of those things that everybody's always going to need. It's not going anywhere. And so, yeah, it's something that I'm really interested in. And I think because I've been doing some search in the last couple months, trying to understand what are my real interests, and, you know, what do I want to study. And so, yeah.
Well, that was a darn fine answer. And
Yeah,
I'm a little bit worried that Chanel Weesey is trying to take all of your time. Chanel, Saalih is all of our friends, okay? He can't just hang out with you all the time. But she has invited you to go with them to a visit to the Rio Grande farm in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
They're starting up something with that. But
oh yeah, for sure.
But that's great to hear. It's great to have you back. It's great that the possibility of having these conversations with you is so much greater than it was when you were in Oakland. So many times I wanted to reach out to you and pass through you and, you know, just pick your brain and have one of these conversations. But I knew you had other business to take care of out there. So now that you're back home, the good times can commence once again. And the perpetual annoyance of Lucas picking Saalih's brain is back on the table, babe.
It's back on the table whenever. And, you know, well, first, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate, you know, you guys sharing your space with me. And allow me the opportunity just to talk, and hopefully I touch some people and maybe, you know, impacted someone positively. And I really appreciate you guys, honestly. And I don't know, you know, I could say, I'm gonna say it all day and continue to say I'm happy to be back. You know, and I really miss you guys a lot. And I think what I went through, I needed to go through as well. To learn some things, and you know, and it's helped me grow a lot, and I'm glad that you guys are a part of that, and I can share that with you guys as well as you guys sharing your growth with me. You know, that way we all get better and we all learn. So,
amen. Saalih, I can't tell you how happy we are to have you back, man. It truly does feel like a homecoming to have you here. So, thank you so much for spending time with us, man. We love you, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the pitch here, hopefully real soon.
Yeah, love you guys too.
All right, everybody. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watched, to everyone who's rated, subscribed, reviewed, sat in on these things. It's because of you that we're able to have these conversations. And Dave, I don't want to speak for you, but that was like up on the top of the list of most enriching discussions of just how incredible it was. So let's transition awkwardly and somewhat smoothly into what was your favorite part of the episode, brother?
Man, you know, we knew Saalih obviously in 2019 and 2020, and we knew how much of an incredible person he was and is. But I think when he went away, it's easy to just kind of forget, you know, at times. You know, we love Saalih, but, you know, we're so focused on our day-to-day lives and working for a soccer team and having a life here and all of that kind of stuff that it's easy to forget. And just to have that conversation with him, and he is just so thoughtful. And so just such a good, true human being. It's tough to narrow it down to one thing. I think if I had to pick one, it's the fact that he wants to farm when he's done. That's so cool. I mean, what a great use of talent and like urban farming and just, man, there's just so much we can learn from Saalih. He's just an incredible guy, and I'm so happy that he's back home with us.
He wants to feed the world. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, like what a beautiful, wonderful aspiration. Shout out to the Curse Cast there from Christina. Yeah, you guys all met Saalih really for the first time in a digital space when he did that interview with them, and he's never really disappointed. So I have a somewhat serious answer and then a silly answer, and I'll do the silly one first. I about died when Adrian said that Bakersfield was that Roswell was the Bakersfield of New Mexico. Like it got me really, really good. The other one that got me was like not a lot of people are privy to what happens leading up to this podcast, and so you would think based off of how it was like attending a college lecture, like that's literally what it's like to hang out with Saalih. You would have thought like when he logged in with us, he was sitting in front of his books and documenting everything. No, he just got done visiting someone, and he went to the grocery store, and he was getting out of his car like 32 seconds before we brought him on. Yeah. And then he just dives right in. Like, and that right there is all you need to know. David, you've been replaced by, is that Olivia, Carl?
It is Olivia. She needs attention at the moment, and she's making that very clear.
Yeah.
But
she's the boss.
She is. But what was your serious one?
My serious one was how amazing Saalih was. Like just being reminded again of how just in a different realm intellectual this guy is. And dovetailing off of yours, just what a heart he has for it and how much he wants to care and make the world a better place. Olivia Carl, who is the associate producer on site under the direction of Dylan Cuellar, is apparently giving us the wrap it up, Dave. So
she's like intentionally blocking my view. It's like she knows where the camera is, and she, as soon as if I can block this, that'll be done. But yeah, Lucas, thanks as always. Thanks for hanging out, man. This was a lot of fun tonight.
It was great. Blackout Night versus Colorado Springs on for Saturday. If you don't have your tickets yet, this is a really, really fun one, and I hope our friends in partnerships are watching right now. This is the first time we have ever done essentially a non-restricted promo flag. You're at the game, you're getting a flag, and it's
everybody.
And it's a really, really good one. So let's get together for P&M's Blackout Night. Let's make it just an impossible place for Colorado Springs to stay in and play in. And let's turn the results around, because griping and complaining and taking unnecessary shots at people is never going to turn it around. It's going to be the things that we got started with, which is being united, having a chip on our shoulder, and being an underdog. So let's get back to those things, and let's make Colorado Springs have a really, really bad Saturday night.
Absolutely. And then one other thing, Friday night, if you are interested in kind of supporting the stadium project, something that we're working really hard on, come on, join us at around 5:30 p.m. Friday night at the United Shop. We're going to get together. We're going to talk about how we can support, how we can be helpful, how we can work together to try and make this a reality and make sure we listen to our communities as well. So lots of stuff Friday night, that Saturday night, Blackout Night. Make sure you get your tickets. Come hang out with us. Lucas, until then, Somos Unidos.
We are united.